Our next guest is Frank Winn, the guns and gear editor for America's First Freedom. He's always got great show and tell stuff for us, so let's see what he has today. What's going on, Frank?
Well, I do have arguably the most beautiful rifle I know of on the AR platform.
Okay, all right. That's a high standard, Frank. So I mean, you're gonna have to live up to it.
Well, I'll do my best.
Okay,
what
all right.
What we're looking at here is a rifle from F1 Firearms down there in Texas, Spring, Texas.
Of course, it's from Texas.
Take a look at that camo.
That is, I'm not gonna lie, that is pretty epic.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it is.
What's more, it's not any kind of paint or a dip. That's anodized on. Rockwell hardness of 73. We've put about 600 rounds to this rifle, and as far as I can tell, there's not a mark on it.
Really? What is the chamber? It's 5.56?
5.56.
Okay.
5.56.
Is that's a 16-inch barrel?
Yeah, 16-inch barrel. You can see it's mid-length gas system, so it'll be great with suppression.
Mm-hmm.
One of the cool things about this, though, look at the cuts. See how you can, people were really skeptical when these guys came up with this. They thought, isn't that going to be inviting all kinds of crud inside the rifle? And what happens once it gets there? But what they discovered, they did a lot of testing.
Yeah.
By the way, we did a full review of this in the magazine, so you can go out and look in your magazine and read about this. What they found is that the first shot blows all the crud out of the rifle. So the philosophy of easy in, easy out is what is being applied here. As far as we can tell, it works mighty well. We didn't want to be too abusive with their rifle, but we weren't too delicate either.
You're better than me, Frank, because I would have went in.
Another great thing about this rifle is they paid a lot of attention to the structural details of it. People are naturally inclined to think, well, with all that material milled out, how strong is that rifle? What they do is they work with the manufacturer to get an aluminum extrusion that by the time they machine it remains just as strong as a billet rifle of similar proportions.
How are they managing that?
Well, I think it's because they have carefully aligned the cuts so that they're not introducing weaknesses that work with any grain structure in the metal. I'm not a metallurgist, so I can't comment in great detail, but we sure don't sense any flexing in it. The rifle ran beautifully for us. Another great thing, if you look here, look at that bolt.
Oof.
Many people will recognize that as a titanium nitride coating. But that gives this bolt, according to these guys, about twice the normal life. That bolt is so hard that you can dent the metal underneath without damaging the finish. Another thing you can see, we left it a little dirty here.
Yeah.
The finish is so hard and slick. And I'm just taking a regular Kleenex here with nothing on it. No solvent, no nothing. Look at how easily all that carbon came off.
Man, oh my God, man! I don't know if you're getting this on your end, Frank, but right now the thing is blinging.
Yeah, well, that's the way it looks. If you take this out of the rifle, it really does look like a piece of gun jewelry.
Wow!
Lots of other nice things going on here. A hyperfire trigger. They have 6 different triggers they'll offer with a rifle. This particular barrel is a 5R barrel. 5R style rifling. Are you familiar with that? I expect you are.
Slightly. I don't know about it in depth, but I've heard of it a few times.
Well, what it is, it's a style of rifling that does not put 90-degree edges on the lands and grooves. And the philosophy behind it is that it will last much longer because you don't have those relatively delicate 90-degree corners in the grooves of the rifling on which the engraving of the bullet must occur.
So is it like pre-shrinking a shirt?
Yes, the same idea.
Okay.
Another great thing we really liked about this rifle, no rail here where you don't need it. That saves all the material of the raised parts of the Picatinny so that you don't have to carry around that weight. Nice medium profile barrel here. Again, like I said, it's 5R, so the rifling ought to last. I know a guy that had a 308 barrel, an original Boots Obermeyer style of that rifling. He's the guy that invented it. He said accuracy was still improving after 10,000 rounds.
That's insane.
This guy was a serious old pro too, so he would know.
Yeah.
Another nice thing, we've got offset mag pull sights on this rifle. One of the great things about this that people kind of forget about, see how that's off the axis?
Yep.
So in other words, if you don't want to use your optic, or your optic should go down. Now, granted, this is a Zeiss, not very likely.
Yeah, very highly unlikely.
But one of the things that's really great about having an offset set of sights is that for a right-hander, you can now shoot around a left obstacle much more easily because you can tilt the rifle out. You don't have to stick your head all the way out behind the optic. Often forgotten.
Gotcha. The funny thing is, I just started running offset sights in a scope carbine course I took not too long ago, and they worked really well. I actually ran those exact same sights. And
did you?
I gotta say, they're a lot faster than I thought they would be. It was really incredibly intuitive in terms of just kind of coming up to a quick cant and then just running it. I was actually really surprised.
Well, the interest. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and oddly enough, I was running an RMR at a 45 degree angle offset, and I preferred the irons, which is weird because I grew up in the digital age. So it's like, for me, I was like, I prefer the irons from my backup sights in that sense. So that was really interesting.
I think you hit on an important point there. They are very counterintuitive. These have actually been around for quite some time. It's not new. It's not a new idea, but once you get behind them, and another thing that's really nice about the mag pulls is it'll be hard to see here, maybe better from the front.
No, the bolt is blinding everybody with its blinginess. So it's
well, you have two apertures here, and what people forget to do is use the wide open aperture. You're not trying to shoot 500 yards with the rifle canted like that, or at least not very likely. But it's amazing what you can do at 200 yards, even without using the fine aperture, and it makes head position far less delicate.
Absolutely.
So we really like these sights on just about any rifle. They're worth the extra weight.
Yep, I agree. I absolutely agree.
Last but not least, this Zeiss optic on this rifle, what a joy.
Yeah.
36 millimeter tube, so fantastically forgiving on head position, great tally rings here. This thing looks like you could run it over with a very large truck and it would still work. Another great thing is the reticle system in here. We're really taking to fancy reticles for good reasons, but also because it's the thing right now.
It is.
This has what essentially looks like a German number 4. They call it the reticle 60, but it's the old German number 4, thick below, thick on the sides, thin on the top. But this also has an illuminated dot that you have to do some serious math to figure out how much smaller it is than every other dot out there. And yet, it lights up plenty. The fiber that runs the dot is finer than a human hair. The obscuration is slightly over 1/10 of an inch at 100 yards.
That's Zeiss for you.
And yet, that's Zeiss for you. 92% light transmission on this beauty. And yet, because of the big diameter, very generous eye box, turn this thing down to 1 and run it like crazy.
What is that? Is that a 1 to 8?
1 to 8.
Okay.
It's the Victory V8. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's exactly right. Auto off on the dot. It's motion sensing. So if you set it down, it turns off, I think, 5 minutes.
Gotcha.
But it's quite a system. This is a wonderful rifle and optic combination. Another great thing about F1, if you are law enforcement or a military veteran and you think you want a rifle like this, and they essentially hand build every rifle. They've got a deal for you. Go out to their website and they want to build you a rifle.
That's awesome.
I'm great tribute to our service people.
That's awesome. That is awesome. You set the bar high when you said the most beautiful rifle, and I can't refute you. Right now, I honestly can't refute. I want to, but I don't think I can at this moment. So,
well, they argue they've got one even prettier than this, but I haven't held it in my hands.
Is my face on it?
Judgment. That may be it. With that smile right there.
Oh, that's awesome. What else you got for us, Frank?
Okay, you asked me a very probing question without doing it intentionally. The last time we talked about pistol caliber carbines, we were talking about velocity.
Yep.
and the velocity gain, and you got me thinking. So I went out and did some tests, and I have some better numbers now, and the rough number was right. The 20% add to velocity that occurs with very light bullets is in fact about the number. As you get higher in velocity, shorter in barrel, the variations get smaller and smaller. You get down to a gun like the G43, and it's only about 5% slower than, say, a G17 with the ammunition we tested.
Really?
But what's interesting about this, and we've got some video there for you, where we think you can see it. Okay. What happens, though, is you need to choose carefully for the job, the problem you're trying to solve when you pick ammunition. Because if you're trying to compete, you'll get a lot of difference in the way firearms react depending on the ammunition you put in them. If you roll that #1 handgun, this is factory ammunition, 124 grain factory ammunition, no plus P. So roll that and just watch the ejection angle of those cases.
All right, let's run it back one more time. Can we?
Empty gun, by the way.
All right.
And
oh, wow.
About like this. High.
Yeah.
And about 4 o'clock, right?
Yep.
Okay. And notice that the gun, this is 9mm. The gun returns to position pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Now run #2 with handgun. This is a 100 grain bullet, but still making. See how the muzzle stays lower?
Yep.
And ejection angle is now a little lower and more like this. All right, now run #3. It's a very heavy bullet, 165 grain bullet.
Jesus, 9?
And you will see how cases are coming almost straight towards you?
Yep. Okay, yeah, I see it.
Okay, the crucial thing there is what's allowing that to happen is the first one is opening the gun all the way, or virtually all the way. What that creates is more inertia going forward, which makes the barrel nose dip. Now, obviously, there's a lot you can do with proper grip mechanics to control that. But run that last one again, and you'll see that while it's not as fast as the second one, but the actual amplitude of the motion takes you off the target an amazingly small amount, so that when you come back to the target, you don't have to do a lot of visual correction.
Gotcha.
Now, does that mean heavy bullets are the right thing for everybody? Absolutely not. But it does mean that you want to try different things. Don't assume that the 115s and 124s that everybody uses are perfect.
You know what's funny about that? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I remember there's a video floating out there with me speed shooting a 45 versus a 9. And people were kind of surprised because I shot the 45 pretty quickly. And a lot of it had to do with, I think, in many ways, what you just explained. The fact that the recoil sensation you get from 45, especially with that heavier bullet, it's kind of a straight back push versus a kind of flipping motion more of the flipping motion that you get with the 9mm, which, yeah, sure, the recoil sensation is a lot heavier, but the direction of the recoil in many ways is what played the biggest part in allowing me to shoot it faster. Because like you said, I don't have to do much correction in my eyesight with the 45 because I'm coming back here, but I'm still on target a lot quicker. Well,
and the crucial thing, you have identified there's something that's really important for viewers to understand. What's happening there is the cycle on the 45 in terms of how long it takes is better tuned to us.
Yeah.
We're squishy. We're not made of metal. We operate in tenths and hundredths of a second. Slide action takes place in thousandths of a second.
Yeah.
Now, if you look, oddly enough, it's even more obvious in the carbine. Run the carbine #1. That'll be factory ammunition again. And again, watch the barrel movement and watch the angle of ejection. Okay, 124 grain factory loads.
Okay.
Now run #2. That's a 100 grain bullet. This one actually has the smallest amount of muzzle movement, but you'll also see the angle move around. Factory, the angle was like this.
Yeah.
Those were more like that. Now this is where the 165s are really impressive. Run that #3 and watch where the cases come out.
Wow. Nice little dribble.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And those rounds are all making minor power factor. Those would all be competitive, competitively acceptable. The 124s, of course, you can go buy those in the store. Reloaders are going to be able to choose between the very fast action of the lighter weight bullets, something less than 115 grain bullets, and if you're like me, I actually prefer the heavier bullets. I'm willing to trade a little in terms of the speed of the action for the rate at which that action occurs, the 45 effect you were talking about.
Absolutely.
So your comment about always being able to add energy with a longer barrel, just because you can add it doesn't mean you want to. You got to choose carefully about your... Now, one thing where this really gets to be a big deal.
And then real quick, Frank, because we're actually out, but I'll let you go. I'll let you keep going because you're Frank.
See that right there?
Yep.
Compensated gun.
Oh, wait. Wow. 34?
Yeah, G34. This really matters with compensated guns because you need enough gas to activate the compensation. Now, if you run that last video, the one I think it's labeled just for fun, it was late in the day, the shadows are long, but it still came out pretty well.
Holy crap.
You can't do that unless you keep the muzzle flat.
You're absolutely right. I wonder if a lot of people, I reacted to it because I knew exactly what just happened there. I know a lot of people are like, what? But with the plate that small, at that distance, being able to get those 2 shots, was it 2 or 3 shots on target like that? Nope, no.
3 shots, and we actually took apart the waveform. That's draw at 3 hits, buck 48.
That's crazy. That is insane. Well, there you have it, folks. That is your ammo lesson for today, given to you properly so by Frank. And that's why we love you, Frank.
Great to be with you as always.
Always, man. Make sure you come back.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that's it for Seeing Live. I'm Colion Noir, and I will see you Monday.